It's Thursday, the 24th of August, 2023. Welcome to the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Michael.
Sean, 5 stories to get through in 5 minutes. Let's get going. Story number 1, Woolworths share price jumped nearly 5% yesterday after the grocer announced a $3.1 billion pre-tax profit, thanks in part to higher profit margins on food.
And like we heard from Coles yesterday, the profit was somewhat offset by a higher rate of theft. Overall, Woolies said the supermarket side of the business is doing well, but consumers are pulling back spending at Big W. Boss Brad Banducci said inflation is showing promising signs of moderation, but wages and energy and transport inflation is putting pressure on costs. He said theft spiked in the March quarter. Most of that happened at Big W, particularly around health, beauty products, razors, that type of thing. He added that theft in New Zealand supermarkets is a serious problem and that aggression towards staff has been on the rise. Now, Woolies' total sales were more than $64 billion for the full year. The group profit was up 13.4%. That brings a bit of a challenge for Banducci and Woolies. Critics claim the supermarkets are gouging customers, and a jump in profits and profit margins kind of supports that argument.
Yeah, it seems to. Now, Sean, we're about 2/3 or so of the way through profit reporting season. What do we know so far?
We know consumers are hurting. They're looking for better deals. Inflation's moderating. Good news there. Price pressures aren't the main topic of conversation as they were 6 months ago. There also isn't as much discussion about staffing shortages. Some companies with pricing power, like Woolies, have been able to expand margins. Investors love that, though customers don't necessarily always agree. And the global economy outside China isn't doing too badly. So companies operating in the US and or Australia aren't reporting a massive fall-off in demand. Things are definitely softer, but that recession we've been predicting for months and months still might be some way off.
All right, on to story number 2, Sean, and this is a really serious and quite confronting story. The former boss of the corporate watchdog, James Shipton, yesterday told how an abusive advertising campaign against him made him want to take his own life.
Shipton said a 6-month abusive advertising campaign against him by a billionaire defendant made him want to end his life, according to the Financial Review. He said 43 prominent advertisements featuring eye-catching yellow backgrounds attacked his character, his competence and his integrity, and were published by a defendant charged with offences instigated by ASIC. And I quote, "The advertisements were soul-destroying for me, my family and my friends. They were relentless. They cut me to the core." He was speaking at a parliamentary inquiry into ASIC. He said, and I quote again, "Workplace bullying does not have to come from a superior or a peer. It can be perpetrated by an outsider. Moreover, workplace bullying can happen in the print and cyber media where it continues for eternity."
Yeah, and there's always support available. Lifeline 13 11 14. Story number 3, Sean, around 1.3 million Australian women and more than 400,000 men were still subjected to sexual harassment in the last 12 months. This is according to data from the Australian Bureau of Statistics. That is very, very high.
It's just disturbing. While inappropriate comments about their body or sex life was the most widely reported type of sexual harassment reported by women, around 400,000 were subjected to unwanted touching or grabbing, according to a report in The Australian. And new ABS data on sexual violence finds that there's been no decline in prevalence, with 1.9% of women saying they experienced sexual violence in 2021, up from 1.2% in 2012. Overall, 2.2 million, or more than 20% of women, experienced one or more incidents of sexual violence since the age of 15. Young women aged 18 to 24 were the most likely to report being subjected to both sexual violence and harassment, and women who identified as gay, lesbian, bisexual or queer were 5 times more likely to have experienced sexual violence than heterosexual women.
Story number 4, Sean. Domino's pizza boss, Don May, yesterday said the company made a mistake lifting prices too much to keep up with inflation, and he has promised no more price hikes for the rest of this year in an effort to grab back market share.
The price increases, which were done to alleviate the impact of 10% plus increases in food and energy costs, didn't help the bottom line, though. Domino's profit fell 74%. As May said, Domino's lost market share to burgers. The rise of food delivery companies, intense competition from players such as McDonald's has really hurt Domino's. May yesterday said they won't be lifting prices on pizzas at all this year.
And last one, Sean, story number 5. I find this story fascinating. The Panama Canal is suffering from climate change, with shrinking water levels forcing ships to part load just so they can get through the waterway.
Yeah, so vessels have been waiting almost 4 days on average to go through the canal. Now, that, of course, creates a shortcut between the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. Many have been forced to lighten their load to sit higher in the water. Some ships have even had delays of as many as 20 days. The canal is vital for global trade. It allows through more than 500 million tonnes of cargo annually. This is becoming a real problem. Not just the Panama Canal suffering from this, low water levels have also hit the Rhine River in Europe and the Amazon in Brazil, affecting trade flows there as well.
All right, there we go. The top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
It's Thursday, the 24th of August, 2023. Remember to hit follow on the podcast. If 5 minutes isn't long enough for you, you can find our longer daily show called Fear and Greed Business News wherever you listen to podcasts. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.